It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 7, Episode 24. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
What's up, everyone?
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. Chris, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
What's up, Mr. Michaels? I am doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. Gearing up here for a big show today. We've been holding off pretty much all season for this show.
Yeah.
All season. We've done our research. We did our experimentation. We were in the lab. We were working on things. We got a placebo effect happening. It's crazy, man. It's like in college when you go to the test labs just to make some extra money. Here, take this, write this down, smell that. How do you feel? I feel great. You got my $20? Boom.
Yeah, right. We were just able to wave hi to Katy Perry and Gayle King as they sailed by in their spaceship.
In their makeshift cardboard Hollywood cutout spaceship. Listen, I don't know one way or the other. I was in an interview a couple weeks back of this recording, and the guy asked me, do I believe in conspiracies? And I says, yeah, sure I do. I go, but today, everything's a conspiracy. If we've run out of toilet paper, there's a conspiracy. Eggs are overpriced, it's a conspiracy. Somebody shot my dog, it's a conspiracy. You know what I mean?
It's true, man. It really is. It doesn't happen by chance anymore, right? Everything has to have a story attached to it. And, you know, that's just because of the world we live in. Like, you don't know who to trust.
That's true.
So, you know, and there's so many things that you can fake or make up or hide. And, you know, but literally, I mean, we've been doing that our entire existence. Lying and cheating and stealing. I mean, it's just how it's always been. It's always how it's been.
It's always been that way. It is crazy because, like you said, you just don't know who or what to believe. And we're in such a visual time, and I don't think we're ever going to go back to just a listening time, right? Once we got that visual piece to things. Like you said, people become fans with their eyes. And we talked about a couple episodes back that men become music fans, a lot of them, based on what they see. Like they're blinded. Like what happens in the Jungle Book, you know, when the snake starts talking to them. They get that look, that goofy look. But I think there is a lot of that. Like if you can see it, it must be real. Even though we all know that what we're seeing isn't necessarily real. It's some form of entertainment. Even news, to some degree, has become entertainment. Like, who's going to just listen to a guy that's talking like this the whole time, doesn't move?
Yeah.
Things like that. No, you're going to put some attractive newscaster on there, male or female, for whatever. I mean, I was watching the weather the other day, and it was like looking at it like a pageant. And I'm standing around, and there's like 7 other gentlemen glued to the TV like the weather was what was happening. You know what I'm talking about? But do you see what I mean? Like, it's what you see, but it's not always what you get. I must have missed it because I didn't even know it was happening until kind of as it was happening. Because I try not to get involved in any of that stuff. You know, music is my focus. And in my studio, I have no windows and only one door. Actually, there's 2 doors. No Wi-Fi. And I just kind of close myself off to the world. And I come up and I go, oh, what's going on? You know what I mean? So
but you know, I mean, you know, even on that note, bro, like, to be honest, music hasn't always even been true, right? Like, literally over the weekend, I was listening to 80s on 8 on, you know, Sirius XM, and they played Milli Vanilli. And I'm like, I mean, like, my wife and I were talking about it. Such a shame that those guys, because if I remember correctly, I think the one took his own life.
He did.
You know, it's a shame because now what they did then, it was such a horrible thing. everybody does now. It's a way of life now. And I go, this poor cat, like, took all that abuse, took his own life, and for what? For the
Everybody's
same thing
doing
happening.
it now.
Everybody's doing it. The only difference is at that time you got caught, but now it's a thing. Now it's a thing. So
It's a thing.
even music was always kind of a lie in certain areas, right? Like Kiss has been riddled with lies. I mean, I grew up thinking Ace and Peter were on all these records, and they're barely on it. They're barely on any of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What was once the dirty little secret, now it's out in the open. Like everybody talks about it. Nobody talked about buying on tours, paying for shows, things like that. Now you see promoters putting posts out, hey, I got a tour that's running through blah, 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 blah. This is a buy on. I need serious bands only.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So everybody's putting it out there. And you're getting people reaching out and contacting because it's like, this is my shot at glory. So it becomes the norm. Whatever.
Yeah.
It was always normal business. It just wasn't business that you talked about. It was kind of skirted under the rug. Now, everybody wears it like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing some opening slots because as they come into the local region, and these shows are already backfilled simply because of the packages that have been purchased. And it's crazy. It's crazy. That means any of the local bands or the regional bands that are put on these shows, that's all extra money. Think about it. And again, from the very beginning, I am 100% on board with bands, artists, everybody in line making their money.
Yeah.
But there's always a group that isn't getting paid.
Yeah.
So I understand that it can't be evenly distributed because there's a pecking order. I get that. Totally get that. But everybody should get a fair share of what they put in. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And less is more is more. There's nothing wrong with more, but it's how you go about it. I guess that there's an ethical and moral aspect to it, but bringing that up and then trying to couple it with the music industry, who's the fool? I guess I am. Because people go, well, then you're the idiot because that doesn't exist. And they're probably right. We play out as often as we can. We're on the road as often as we can. And I find that even though there is that element out there, and it's rampant from head to toe, there are still those artists that are like, I just want to play. I want to do my fair share. I'm not trying to make an issue here. I just want to do what I have to do and move on from there because I want to keep doing this. And unfortunately, that's what's driving them through the good, the bad, and usually the tidal wave of ugly. It's a tough call one way or the other, but it's out in the open now, Chris. There's no there's no man behind the curtain. That wizard's gone, bud. It's gone. That's created opportunity for all these non-musicians in a place of power. Now you got bookers, agents, managers, venues, people that, are a fry cook in the morning and on the weekends they book bands, whatever. Now they're in a position of power to say, well, who am I going to allow through here? Who's got the most money? And actually, most of the time, from what I have gathered, just in what I'm seeing recently, and by recently I mean like the last 6 months, it has nothing to do with talent. It seems that talent is often void of it. And the funny thing is that's the same argument you hear everywhere you go. Oh man, they're bringing in these bands. I don't understand. They're horrible. These are horrible bands. Well, the horrible bands, I guess, got all the money.
I mean, it's the truth, bro. And I find more often than none that nobody looks to me that no one cares about the talents of anybody anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? They go, just like you said, they go, oh, they have the money. Well, let's put them on. It doesn't matter how bad they are. As long as my bill is covered, then it's okay. And it's really not okay. It's not okay. I understand the idea of that, but it's just hurting an already hurt scene that we're in, especially our scene, especially the metal community scene.
Absolutely. But see, there's the thing. We talked about this multiple times this season. People just don't care. It's all about getting their fill, get in, get out, get on. And that's it. It's ego-driven so much that the competitive element to it is so cutthroat. Without good competition, in a sense, there's no drive to try, to be better.
Right.
If you're paying for it, what do you need to try for? I mean, in business, you often hear people, well, it's nothing money can't fix. Well, yeah, maybe on the surface, but at the core of it, will money fix it? I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying that money's bad. Is it the root of all evil? No, probably not. Humankind is a little bit probably more the root of all evil than the money. You know what I mean? But
True.
There has to be a sentiment that's shared that, look, I want to compete with other bands. And we talked about that in one of our shows. I don't know if it was the Q&A show or not. There was something about should we compete with nationals. But the idea is, like, competition's good. You can't be the champion of the National Football League if you're not playing against anybody. And
Right.
if you're a true athlete, you want to challenge yourself by being challenged by another quality, top-rated athlete. Are you really a winner if you're running over people, that don't have any skill?
Yeah.
I'm a winner,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a winner. No child can beat the Grinch. That type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's social commentary right there in the comedy of this show, of that movie. Hey, and that's our first Christmas reference in a long time.
I was going to say that. I was waiting till you're done.
We already threw in a little kiss this episode. And I have to say, because remember, somebody brought that up a couple seasons ago. All you guys seem to talk about anymore is Kiss and Christmas. And when I've gone back over shows, they're probably 100% right. So I know this season we did a much better job. Much better job.
Well, I think, this season, a little more serious, a little more dark content because of, the situation that we're in the music industry. We followed that lead. I don't know, maybe next season.
It's Ross the Boss.
Take it down.
Johnny D from Britney Fox.
This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
Well, maybe, because by that time, Kiss will have probably done their Vegas show, right?
Oh, right.
Gene Simmons is still touring, because I know he's coming to this area pretty soon, but he has cut a lot of dates down. I mean, all of a sudden, like both Gene and Paul, they're doing all these standalone interviews all over, like with everybody.
Yeah.
And Paul's talking about, he basically kind of like backhand Gene saying, for me to go out and do nothing but Kiss songs, he goes, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
He goes, why would I do that, right? He goes, maybe one or two, whatever. He goes, but I want to do other stuff. So he's talking about going out and doing a series of shows, I guess, with his solo material, which he has enough of. But when I seen some of his solo performances, he always included Kiss songs.
Yeah, there was a bunch.
That one when he released the album, his second actual solo album, Live to Win, and he did that tour. They have a whole documentary thing on. That's so good. But he does a number of Kiss songs.
He did say during that tour that he was going to do Kiss songs that they don't do anymore. Like Hide Your Heart and stuff,
Right.
at least on the record anyway. But listen, screw all that, Paul Stanley. So I want to see Paul Stanley's Soul Collection, Soul
Station.
It's called.
Soul
Station.
Station.
That's it. That's what I want to see. I'll pay to see that. You don't have to do those Kiss songs, bro. I'm all about seeing Soul Station. You want to throw one of your two of your solo stuff in? I'm in, but I want to see Soul Station.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, man, me too.
I mean, I remember
But
he was talking about doing dates. Did he ever do dates back then?
I don't think he ever did.
No?
Man.
Okay.
I do not think, because didn't that record come out like during COVID?
It came out right.
COVID?
It came out still in the COVID era. The COVID.
So by the time they came out of COVID, I guess he was already that Kiss was already back
in the
together,
Kiss,
finishing up that tour. So
yeah,
I would love to see that. But that one live night Kiss or whatever it is, I love that record, man. Love that record.
I mean, it's a good record. It really is. It's a good performance.
It is.
Speaking of which, from what I understand, so Gene is doing like 90% of Kiss songs.
From what I understand.
Right, and he kind of does what Ace does. He has other people singing some of the songs.
Yeah.
And he's got several solo albums out, right? Yeah, he's got...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any songs, unfortunately.
No, I don't either, but he probably has 3 at least. I mean, listen, if I'm going to pay to see Gene, I'm different, but majority of the people that pay to see Gene Simmons, do you really think they want to hear stuff from Kiss Ass or whatever the hell that
Asshole?
record was called?
Yeah.
I think people rather see.
No, they want to see him do Christine 16 and so on and so forth.
But Paul, Paul's thing was like, if I go out and do Kiss stuff, he made it sound like I'm only going to do the Kiss stuff that I sing on. He even said, if Gene's not there, I'm not doing Gene material, which totally makes
It makes sense to me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense to me.
But whatever. Hey, man, listen.
I would love to see
make that
him
money.
do, not to prolong the Kiss episode, but I would love to see him do
turn that around.
the original version of God of Thunder. I actually like that version. It's 70s style, but I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It has a whole different type of...
Has a whole different... Yes.
Yeah, but
I agree.
that's just me, man. I mean, I was always a Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley fan. I kind of gravitated towards that. I was
me too.
never a huge Gene Simmons guy, though. I mean, I dig him, and he's the face, I guess.
Yeah.
If you had to put one member, simply because of the theatrics and the animated character that he was. But anyway, it is what it is. I know that Peter Criss is coming out with a solo album.
I saw that.
He's recruiting some big names. Just from the recording time of this episode, he had just done a show where he was playing drums with some band, and he was doing some singing, and he talked about his album coming out and all that. So if you can do it, you do it. You cash in on it. You have a great time with it, whatever. But in my opinion, just make sure the stuff is good.
That's all it comes down to, man.
You know?
Be good. Just be good. Just be good. Don't dial it in. If you're going to do it right.
You know, on a funny note, speaking of which, like, Ace Frehley has this thing in his show where he'll go, you know, we're 100% real here, no backing tracks, all this kind of thing. Oh. And then, like, midway through the show, he forgets lead parts, and he's kind of stumbling around, hitting bad notes, and it's all on video. It's like, okay, maybe you should have just be quiet about it.
Maybe you should.
Or maybe you should put a backing track in. I don't know. But there's tons of video of him flubbing up and not doing very well.
It's so bad,
but
man.
People are still going to see
bad.
him. I seen him last year, and I was a bit disappointed in the quality of the show. And my wife turns to me and she goes, because I don't know how she got roped into going, but, you know, she goes, is he always like, is he drunk? I go, no, he's sober. She goes, is he always like that? And I go, yeah, basically, that's him. You know?
She's like, how much did we pay for these tickets? Like, you knew this going in?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's twice over the course of our relationship, I got her to go see Ace Frehley solo. Not to mention the times I somehow roped her in to go and see Kiss for like the 80th time. Well, like,
that's love right
one
there.
time when my kids were real little, I go, well, I can't take them myself. I mean, there's all these people around, and, you know, so anyway. And I think one time when I took the kids, too, was early on with Tommy Thayer. The kids didn't know the difference, but, you know.
Yeah, I don't know the difference. Yeah, just some guy in Ace makeup.
Yeah, and believe me, I bought so far back tickets because I'm buying 4 at a time now. You couldn't tell one way or the other. I was on a bit of a budget back then.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
But doors like that, I can't see the stage. Just look at that big screen over there. That's
just watch.
That's
the
about
screen.
the concert you're going to see. You're hearing it, aren't you? You're here and you're hearing it.
You're hearing it. Just watch the screen. It's
right.
all good. You're not missing anything.
That's right. You can tell your friends I was at a Kiss concert.
That's right. It's all that matters. That's it.
I remember in the 80s, I went to AC/DC show down at the Spectrum. Cinderella opened up.
Yeah.
And we were 3rd or 4th row from the stage. My buddy was a huge fan, and we scored these tickets. I don't even know how we scored them. But anyway, you know, contrary to my photographs online, I am a not very tall person. I just have a good photographer.
Shoot from the bottom.
Shoot from the bottom, baby. Shoot. So anyway, that is one concert I got to tell you I didn't see one thing of. Once everybody stood up, I'm like, that's it. It's over. I couldn't see a thing. I seen nothing. I seen Tommy Kiefer's feet several times when he walked over to the piano and walked back, but that was about it. I didn't see a thing. And being that I may actually be a little taller than the guys in AC/DC, I didn't see them at all. So years
Did you
later,
were you able to watch a screen? Though?
no, I couldn't see anything, dude.
Oh, you couldn't see
I
anything.
got I mean, definitely unless you're front row and you're looking to have your ribs destroyed against the cage. I've never gone to the floor ever again for that kind of thing, unless I'm sitting in a theater. Unless I'm sitting in a theater.
I do know that. Like big stadium shows, I wouldn't be front row either because you miss the music because it's going right over you.
Yeah,
like you said, you can't see anything because the stage is sometimes so high. No, I definitely I'm with you on that one.
Listen, I like old people shows now. They sit down. They go, oh, yeah. Like I seen Ario Speedwagon and Rick Springfield and I forget somebody else, and it was great. I mean, we were in it was like an old Spectrum type of setup. Everybody sat down because everybody was old, and I go, I love this. I don't have to stand up because my feet hurt after a while. I gotta fight. I can't see. It's always some 7-foot guy that buys the ticket in front of me.
Always.
And nobody gets super drunk because I always have a tendency somebody pukes near me, and it's just a bad. So I love old people shows. Thank you.
Man, that's why me and my wife went to see Grand Funk Railroad. We saw them in Atlantic City. One band. They were done by like 9:30. It was perfect. Everybody was sitting down because we were literally the youngest people there. Like, it was amazing. I'm like, we need to do these shows more often.
That's right,
we
man.
were out of there by 9:30, 9:45.
That's right. What's her name? She was in Halloween. Right now, I can't think of her name.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. She's still going around saying, why can't musicians, bands, artists do afternoon shows for us? And I'm like, I am for this. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I did
see her say that.
It is just so unbelievable.
So funny. It's so true, man. It's so true. I'm like, right, what time do I go on? Oh, that's perfect.
That's perfect, man, because I can get dinner and I can be home before it gets dark. And then I'm on Amazon Prime watching Reacher or something. That's what I'm saying. It's a perfect day, right? It's a perfect day. Man, it's just crazy. Like, I don't want to get at the show at 2:30, not to go on till 10:30. I want to be at the show by 1 o'clock, go on at 2:30, grab my dinner at 4:30. I'm back on the road. I'm home by 6:30. I got ice cream, some pretzels, and the remote in my hand. I'm sleeping by 9:30. It's the end of it. There you go. Perfect. Perfect.
That is a perfect day.
Going back to what we were talking about at the top of the show in terms of how everything is just fake and, backing track stuff. Yeah. I recently played a festival, a 2-day festival. We were on the second day, the second night. We were one of the later bands going on. But midway through that Saturday's performance, another large band came through. They were part of the bill and totally delayed the entire event because they brought so much equipment and they could not get, listen to this, they could not get their backing tracks to work. Come on. That everything was shut down for almost 45 minutes until they figured it out. I was so livid. I'm like, are you guys kidding me that you can't just play at this point? And unfortunately, the crowd had dwindled. They started to move because it's like, what are we doing? Like,
right, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
right.
What are we doing here?
Dude.
And it was one great band after another, and so just keeping the energy going because what they had dual stages. So not only did it shut down the stage that was being prepped, but the second stage wound up having to shut down too for a small period of time. So there was this big lull, which just listen, it just kills that energy.
Kills the
and
vibe.
I was like, you cannot play without them. You don't know your material, or you just can't do. I'm not the best band in the world. I make mistakes. We don't have any backing tracks. We don't have any pre-recorded anything. We actually tried to do a intro into our intro. Like, it literally was like 35 seconds. I think we used it twice, and I go, man, this is just too complicated. It's too time-consuming. It's more talk I got to do to the sound guy to figure it out.
Yep.
We played one show in Hawaii. The sound guy puts it on. We're not even ready yet. We're not even 100% on stage. He plays it. He wouldn't play it again. So I was like, okay, there we go. And that was like, that's it. I'm done. We're not doing it anymore. Not doing it anymore.
Too, Mick, honestly, you have to blame the promoter or, the guy who's running the show at that point, because you got to go to the band and go, listen, you got 10 minutes. If you can't figure this out, then you're either not playing or you're going to do the set that you came to do. Like, to hold a whole show up for that, no. Like, somebody's got to step in and go, and that's another problem that we have in this scene. There has to be someone that steps in and goes, listen, we're 10 minutes behind. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. And then you're either not playing or you need to play and just deal with it and figure it out.
Right.
Like,
I agree. And that's what I was saying.
You know what I mean? Like, no accountability, man.
No accountability. I mean, it pushed our set back. It really did. And I
can't do that.
I do feel that it affected it. Not our set, our playing, but I think it affected the turnout of the crowd, which was still great. I'm still very grateful for what we did. But I do think that it affected the bands that followed. The band before us, and the 2 that followed us afterwards. The headliners.
It kills that vibe, man. It kills the whole vibe. Absolutely. The whole vibe is over.
Yep. It is amazing. So let's get into the topic of the show. And this is something we've been talking about on and off all season, and we wanted to make an episode about it. So, will AI make artists obsolete in the next 20 years or less? Will AI make artists obsolete in the next 20 years or less? Like I said, we've been talking about it on and off, bringing up different things, different scenarios, different concerns, different points of views. What do you think, bud? Will AI make us obsolete?
I don't necessarily know if it's going to make us obsolete, but I will say this. With the introduction of AI, at least in this industry, I know there was a little while back, I know it was a big thing in the entertainment industry with all these actors. I think I even said it on one of the recent shows that we just aired, that I saw this advertisement for going against Kanye West and had all these actors and actresses come to find out that none of it was real. And that's a scary thing, because you could put Morgan Freeman's voice over something about, hurting dogs, and it looks like he's against animals. Like, it's a scary situation. And we even talked earlier in the episode, you never know what to believe when you see online, because you don't know what's AI and what's not. I mean, literally, no matter what your political stance is, we could make a AI of the current president, put him online and make him say something that he never said. And in this day and age, you put it on Twitter or X, man, that thing will catch so much fire. And next thing you know, he's like, I never said that. And people go, yeah, you did. That's a scary thing to me. A super scary thing. But in terms of where AI comes into play for us, I think there's always going to be, at least in my lifetime, I can't speak for when I'm gone and buried, but from my lifetime, I don't know if it's going to make us obsolete, but it's definitely making things harder for us, because I don't know if we talked about it on the show. I don't know if you and I talked about it privately. You had sent me something months and months ago about this AI label, or maybe we talked about it on the show, that was creating music, like full albums. And I listened to it, what you sent me, and I'm like, man, like, I wouldn't buy it because it was AI generated, but I'm like, man, some of this stuff is good. Like, I mean, it was legit. If it was a real band, I would have probably bought the CD, right? Or the record, because it's really, really good. I know it helps, with certain things. Obsolete, I don't know. I don't believe so, because I always think there's going to be people that want to create some kind of music. But I will say this. Friends of ours just released a record pretty recently. Their first record, they paid an artist to do the album cover. Their newest record, they did themselves. Now, I can't speak and say it was definitely AI generated. I'm not sure. But most likely it was something computer generated. And let me tell you, from the first record that an artist did to the new one where they generated it themselves, it's super close in artistic value. Like, they look so similar that you would never know. And that's a scary, scary thing, because as you know, as an artist, as a visual artist, as a artiste, not necessarily in music, but in picture form, in video form, since you're good at that stuff, you know that. Like, that's a scary thing to me, because I do like people that come up with their own drawings, and, I enjoy that kind of stuff where it's hand generated from mind to paper, but I guess it's the same thing. I guess it's different, right? Because I think we had this conversation before. Right? It's different from computer graphics to AI, right? They're two different things. So when I saw our friend's album cover, and I went, man, like that's crazy to me. It's so close from an artist to, you know, the new record being computer generated. Like I was mind blown, just mind blown. Because sometimes you could tell, you know, sometimes you can see album covers and go, oh, it's AI generated. And a lot of bigger bands are using AI now. And I feel bad for the artists that make a living off that kind of stuff. But when I saw it in this aspect, I went, wow, you can't really tell. And that's crazy. So listen, I could sit here and say, oh, AI's this and AI's that. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like I bought records where the album cover may be AI generated because I like that band. I mean, that's the way they decided to go. And I can't do anything about that. What am I going to do? Not buy the record? Like that doesn't make sense. I think AI is going to put artists out of work, make them obsolete before musicians are obsolete. And that's my opinion.
Will we be obsolete where there's no existence at all? I don't think that's going to be the case. I guess there has been some things in the history of like commerce or consumerism that has been completely obliterated, eradicated, disappeared. And some of that's simply because maybe it was never good to begin with, or it didn't offer anyone the value that they thought that it did when something else then comes out. I do think that artists will not be obsolete. There's always going to be someone that needs to understand the technology, and you'll have a lot of artists to stay relevant, to stay in the mix, learn the technology of it. And there's plenty of them that have already. The downside of that is that you will have non-artists do the exact same thing. Some people that just understand the technology, have a connection to it, whether they're already involved in it to some degree or not. But you'll always have that. And I've seen a rise in that. And we've seen a rise in that during COVID. People statistically were able to start creating music because they had nothing else to do. It wasn't their goal to be a rock star or release albums or charts and stuff like that. But they did it because they could do it because it's accessible to them. And that's the truth of the matter, right? Everything that we do is accessible to someone else. And that's often why you'll have somebody like the CEO of Spotify say, well, it doesn't really cost anything to create music, or there's nothing really involved in it. Anybody can do it. And everybody got up in arms and how dare you say it? How dare you? Right? Type of thing.
Yeah.
How dare you accuse me of using God's money to buy a jet plane? Anyway, the truth is anybody can do it. Anybody can do anything that they want to do. If they put their mind to it. But there are certain people that have more of a knack.
Yeah.
There's more of a knack for it, or they have more of a draw to it, or there's more of a passion, whatever it is. So you're always going to need those type of people to separate from all the other crap that's going to come out from it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You had hand-drawing painting artists who had to make the switch to computer-aided drawing, right? And some did, some didn't, some did a little bit of both. Then your true copy, cut and paste artists had to become drag and drop artists by the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
But they were still trained artists. The thing is now those trained artists aren't trained the exact same way. Right? And now I'm using like what you brought up, artists that paint and draw and things like that. Those artists still exist. Schools still use those as part of their curriculum. It helps you develop a lot of stuff and understanding. But at the same time, there's full programs that don't do any of that. And everything's computer-based. So you're learning how to do everything computer-based. There's an infinite amount of possibilities that can be done with the computer. Then there's artists that do a mixture of both. I'm one of those artists that I fell into that everything was hand-drawn, hand-operated. There was no computer assistance until my tail end of training where it was cumbersome. And a lot of that was more done for typography, like the type, so it was clean and crisp. And that's what was used in advertising. But over the course of the next 2 decades, I had to make that transition where I still do, even to this day, a mixture of both. Sometimes I clean everything up in digital. Some things I build completely in digital, and so on and so forth. So it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. if you're looking to work, well, sometimes you got to go with the flow, right? How many people were put out of work because they were still doing Cobalt and Pascal and some of them other dead languages from the 80s and early 90s, right? You know what I mean? Oh, I'm going to hold firm for this. Yeah, bud, you'll continue to hold firm because nobody uses it no more. So you have to make that decision. And the same thing, I guess, with music. Not to keep referencing things that I do outside of the podcast, but I was on an interview, and I think I brought this up before. The gentleman asked me, do I embrace modern technology? And I said, well, absolutely. I mean, if you don't, you're living in the Stone Age. Though, listen, I kind of like the Stone Age. It isn't that bad for me. I don't have a problem with it. But if you want to be productive, you want to stay competitive, you want to stay in the game, you want to have that edge, well, then you have to embrace a certain amount. It's up to you to decide how much you want to do and keep the character of your work, the integrity of your work, what it is that you really, so you have to find that element. I think there's always going to be that element that exists. I mean, look, vinyl was the big thing for years, and then it fell out of popularity. It never went away. It never went 100% away. It still existed, such small quantities that it almost didn't register as CDs took off and went. But guess what? Vinyl's back.
Yeah.
It's not as it was in its heyday, simply because the times have changed. The world has changed. We're 3 generations past it. But now it's made such a comeback that it's outclassed the sales of CD. However, it doesn't match what it did back in, I don't know, give me a year. I don't know, 85, 80, right? When it was kind of the only thing. Cassettes are still around. Actually, cassettes never trumped vinyl or CD.
No.
But they were still part of the package, weren't they?
Yep. Yeah.
And cassettes never really truly went away either. They were a novelty thing. A lot of underground, a lot of punk still used them, things of that nature. Though you can't go out to the store and buy a 3-pack of TDK tapes. You have to order them online. Get them from some guy that's still stocking stuff from 87, paying out the shoot for them. But my point is the artists are going to be the same thing. Whatever artist that is, there's still going to be that traditional element. Though, to your point, the competitive market is going to be greater because you're not going to know what's what.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
Now, stating all that, and we talked about this privately, I got to a point where we kept talking about this, and I'm saying, well, how can I talk about it if I haven't done it myself or haven't experienced it enough? And I know we went back and forth, is this something that we want people to know? And I figured at this stage of the game, I don't care. So to understand what's actually happening, what's available to people at our level right now on a no to low budget, I said, well, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to do a couple AI things and see what takes place. And I did 3 different things. I created artwork through AI programs. I created a video through AI programs. And I did some music through AI programs. And I'll talk about each. I did the artwork, and I used a couple different online forums. This was all free stuff because I refused to pay for anything. The artwork was difficult. You put in as much information as you're trying to capture, and I must have went through 50, 60 versions to try to get what I was actually looking for. Most of it was crap. Most of it was not laid out visually appealing. And then there was limitations that the app or the program kept coming back with, saying, we're not able to render this type of thing, or we don't do these type of things, or so on and so forth.
Is that because you didn't pay for it, or is that just part of the program?
That's part of the program. Yes, and I checked into that. That's simply part of the programming right now. Now, there are certain programs and apps with a high price tag that will do more of it. Okay? So it depends on what you're using.
Right.
So I wound up whittling it down to 2 or 3 that I liked. I took those, I downloaded them, and I wound up doing my cut and paste, cropping, fixing, adding my own elements, fixing up issues that were just bad issues of some of the renderings. Now, this is just artwork, 2D, 3D type of artwork. And I used them as part of my promotion to see if anybody would notice the difference. Well, nobody did.
Right.
Is part of that because I wound up spending hours afterwards doing my own rendering and artistic applications in the programs that I use, like Photoshop, Illustrator, so on and so forth. Right. Photoshop, Illustrator, for artists today, they're passé. They use other programs. So that just shows you where I'm, I spend enough years learning Photoshop. I'm not learning something else. All right. That being said, I decided, because the cost of getting videos shot these days, though they have come down, it's still pricey. Because it's not even the cost of the video shoot. It's the cost of the editing, and it's the rental of the place that you're going to do. And it's a headache. Because I remember I did some stuff during the COVID time. I had to rent out an Olympic-sized pool that was emptied on someone's property and had to get a film crew out there. And then I rented out a Bounce U to get this certain 80s, like I go, there's our 80s video, right? Our Poison video, to get all the crazy lights and the things and stuff. And we had the guerrilla shoot that within a day because it was costly. So that's a long day. So I said, let me see what these AI generated video programs. It'll be a lyric video. So I put in all these descriptions, whatever. Basically, you write not a mini script, it's kind of a treatment, summary to a treatment, not a full script. And I had to have it changed a couple times because, again, what they're doing is they're going out on the internet and they're grabbing all this stuff that's out there and they put it together. The first time I did it, I didn't like anything that it did. Now, I actually did it twice. The very first time that I did it, I was doing it for a holiday video, and I didn't like anything that they did. And I said, I'm abandoning it. Because what I wound up finding out is they were literally taking pieces out of documentaries and putting it together. I'm like,
and you could do that.
I could do that. I didn't do it, and I wound up doing an audio visualizer for the Christmas video. Okay, they're easy to do. It's my artwork with the song and some animation that I put in. So then I decided to do it again for one of our new singles. And I said, okay, so I put the parameters in, and it wasn't too bad. So I downloaded it, and I re-edited it myself anyway, because I didn't like the order it was in. I didn't like some of the scenes. It was all stocked footage that actors had done. So I fixed it up, I added special effects, I did all my own overlays, I added some additional footage. I put the text in for the lyric video portion. I was like, okay, it's not 100% of what I would want, but, it does the trick for what I'm going to do, and let's see what happens. So I put it out. Nobody knew anything, and I wasn't going to promote it, so what's the difference in terms of it was covering a base that was needed, I was okay with it, and I put it out. Putting it up, though, was where some of the issue lies when you work with AI, especially on the free end. Remember, this is all done free. And I can't speak as something if I haven't used it. How dare I? Think about it. I can't say some guitar sucks if I've never played it. Or I can't say this band sucks and I never heard them. So I figured, just like a scientist, let me try this out. Why not? So I did. Within seconds, copyright violation. But the copyright holders permit the use of the footage. I just can't monetize my video. Which is no big deal because I can't even monetize my own music. And we've talked about this before because of the label and distribution involvement, which makes it impossible to do anything with your own music if you're looking for third-party help. Or unless you give up everything that you have, which I refuse to do. So anyway, I put it out there. And I thought, well, maybe it's because of the music, because that's happened to me when I put my own music up. So I decided to re-edit the video again. I took it down, I put the video back up, same thing happens. Funny, this time, I didn't get a copyright issue for my music. I just got it for the video. So I left it up there. I shared it a few times, it's up there for whatever, but I never promoted it, simply because of how I went about doing it. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of the video. I'm not ashamed of how I did it. It was all part of the experimental process. I figure if I'm going to experiment on something, I'll do it on my own stuff. This way, nobody gets hurt, nobody gets insulted, and then I can come back to the show when we decided to do this episode and talk about it.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that you do this but it's not 100% yours. There's things you can't do. Now, I didn't pay for any of this. So it's up there. I take the copyright. It's not a copyright strike. It's basically, you can't do this. You can do this because they allow it, but you can't do this.
Right.
Okay, I'm fine with
Right.
that.
Right.
So the last thing that I tried to do, Chris and I are working on new Hereafter material, and I had already written it, everything laid out, everything sent to Chris. But in the process, I go, well, I did the art, I did a video, let's try this music thing. So I did the free service for, and I'm not going to mention what they are because I'm not trying to promote them, but I did a free service app that I could download on my phone. And I put in all this criteria of what I'm looking for, the genre, the style, this, that, and the other thing. And I threw in my lyrics. I didn't put in the music, didn't give the key. That was going to be my next step because I wanted to do it in sections. After reading about this, I figured, well, I'll do it in sections, see what happens. So it generates, after, 15, 20 minutes, it generates itself, and it gave me 5 versions of the song. Relatively, the lyrics were basically delivered very similar to how I had sent them to Chris. The only difference is when I put in thrash and doom and all this kind of stuff, it came back with metalcore type stuff and variants of vocal that way. Music-wise, again, way different than what I had written for this new material, but I have to say that it was top quality. All 5 versions, though different, though they had some similarity to it, it was like, oh my God, I could literally write an album in a weekend and have it highly produced and out the door. These are all AI-generated guitars, drums, the keyboards, the vocals, the backing vocals, everything. I was amazed at it. Was amazed that this was just an app on my phone for free.
Right.
The thing is, same copyright, you couldn't do anything commercially with it. It was just for your listening pleasure. As soon as you would put it out, here's the thing, you lose your copyright to the lyrics as well.
Yep.
So I was like, wow, that's really crazy. I did speak to someone most recently who was doing a video thing on a paid service. They had limitations. They had to share copyrights.
Oh.
But depending on the tier, you could only do so much a day based on what you paid for. You needed more of this, you're looking for more of that, you paid for more of it.
Oh.
So it's a pay-as-you-go, but at the end, you don't own it 100%.
Yeah.
And the same concern that they were unable to answer me, that we brought this up in another show, is what happens when you stop paying. I didn't pay for anything, so I don't get any copyright, right, for that.
Right.
I also don't give up anything, but I can't monetize it, and there's a limitation to it, which I was okay with because it wasn't something that I was looking to do that anyway. The music thing was just an experiment. I just wanted to see. And remember, the first thing I said to you is, I go, they arranged the vocals and the delivery pretty close to what I did, which I thought was kind of amazing in that sense. But the music didn't fit what our band was doing because in their mind, metal is this, or thrash is this, or doom is this, when I'm saying, no, that's not what we're trying to accomplish here.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. I experimented with it, gave it a shot, had to make adjustments all along the way. So it's not 100% like everybody says. I guess in time it may be, or on such levels that it is. Listen, you're looking at like CGI in movies and people are like, man, that's terrible. And these are high budget films.
Yeah.
So you can't expect much from free, and you can't expect much if you're paying $15 a month or whatever the cost is. So at the end of the day, all that time that I spent, and let me tell you, it was a lot of time. I could have wrote, filmed, edited, drew, recorded a bunch of stuff on my own. The amount of time that it took me, and I am talking hours, days, and weeks.
Yeah.
Several months went by me working on all this stuff. I could have done the same thing with less of a learning curve on my own. Do I think we'll be obsolete? Absolutely not. I think you're having people like me at my age, the years in, with limited ambition to get involved, do this and go, you know what, I'll just keep doing it the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I still do accounting on paper. I do not use any programs or spreadsheets. My wife likes to shoot me at times, but I said it makes more sense to me. Here you go. What do you think, bud? What do you think?
I think the only thing I have left is to say is with AI, I think that if it's something you're interested in, especially for artwork, I can't really say for music and stuff like that. I think that if it helps you to get across what you want to get across, then, I mean, I cannot be mad at someone that wants to use it, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's your art. It's your art form. You do what you want to do. And don't listen to the people online, because they're a small portion of people. They just want to hate on anything that's not the same thing from 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Most of those people online ain't doing anything anyway. So keep swinging and do what works best for you. If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmickvoice.com. Step into the Cosmickverse, make your AI avatar, and fill that void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmick Voice. If you have a question, a topic idea, or something you want us to address, just contact us through our Facebook page at The Cosmick Voice. You can listen to The Cosmick Voice at Spotify, Breaker, Apple, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and at thecosmickview.com. Check us out on Facebook at The Cosmick Voice.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmick Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmickvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmick Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to The Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.